What a great week! And a great week to talk about the infamous door problem. Why the obsession with doors? Because a problem that's infamous deserves to be revisited so people don't forget why it's hard. And besides, it's the perfect excuse to show how art, engineering, design, AI, physics, and networking all collide in one tiny feature. All right, let's dive in. Day 1. Why doors are a game dev meme. In game development, doors are often described as scarier than dragons. That sounds dramatic, but it's true. In the real world, a door is handle plus hinge. Easy. In games, a door can be interaction logic, animation, collision, AI handling, networking, save, load state, and 100 weird edge cases packed into a single prop. The term the door problem was popularized by Liz England back in 2014, and it's since made its way into textbooks and level design discussions. The reason it caught on is simple. It's an easy-to-picture example that reveals how many different departments touch a single feature. Why so complex? Because even with modern computing power, you can't perfectly simulate reality. Instead, we build patchworks of systems and workarounds, and every workaround is another thing that can break. As an analogy, if you wanted a fully realistic simulation of a chicken's life, it might be cheaper to raise a chicken than to code every feather and scratch. Doors are like that, mundane in real life, surprisingly expensive in machines. Day 2. Doors and player interaction. Let's put on our UX designer hats. How the player opens a door looks trivial until you consider controllers, accessibility, VR hands, and a 12-player raid queue. There are a few common interaction patterns. Auto-open when you approach, press to open, hold to open to prevent accidental use, and contextual actions where the same button does different things depending on state. Each choice changes player expectations and creates edge cases. Affordance matters. Visual cues like handles, glowing edges, or prompt text tell the player what to do. Use distance and angle checks so you only show an open prompt when the player is actually facing the door. And timing matters. Too fast and it feels janky. Too slow and it feels unresponsive. A good UX finds the sweet spot. Then the practical problems. Players get stuck mid-animation, drop items in the doorway, or block AI. Solutions include widening temporary collision, nudging players out, or letting small items phase through while the door animates. Each fix has trade-offs. Another consideration: multiple actors. 2 players or NPCs trying to use the same door can cause traffic jams. You can queue users, allow side-by-side passage, or design wider doors. Each decision affects both gameplay and social flow. A good example here is Hitman. Many doors in Hitman auto-close after a suitable delay. That behavior respects player flow, supports stealth by reducing line of sight, and feels predictable. A bad alternative would be an instant snap-shut door that locks you out or forces you to reopen it repeatedly, annoying and disruptive to pacing. Day 3. Animation and physics. Let's say we decided we need openable doors. Now we must move them, and this is where chaos often erupts. Doors come in many motion types: swinging on a hinge, sliding on tracks, folding in panels, or teleporting via a fake load animation. Each brings distinct animation, collision, and timing challenges. Matching collision with visible motion is critical. If the collider lags behind the visual door, players can get stuck in open ones, or a door can push the player into geometry. The choices here are often between physics-driven doors, fully animated doors, or hybrids. Physics-simulated doors can feel incredibly tactile. They react naturally to pushes and impacts, but they can be glitchy without careful constraints. Fully animated doors are stable and predictable, but can feel less reactive. Hybrids, using animations for the main motion and physics for small bumps, are a common middle ground. A strong example of tactile, carefully constrained physics doors is Half-Life: Alyx. In VR, those doors are physics objects with hinge constraints, mass settings, and damping tune to feel natural without breaking. On the flip side, many sandbox games and modded environments have unconstrained hinges that fling props and players when the physics engine misbehaves. Good engineering practices include limiting maximum swing speed, ignoring collisions with players for a few frames during opening, auto-correcting drift in hinge rotation, and temporarily widening pass-through spaces. All of these are small concessions that prevent catastrophic edge cases. Day 4. AI and Pathfinding. Now, for the NPCs, we need to teach them that a door is sometimes a wall, sometimes a hallway, and sometimes a trap, or even a mimic. A door is not just geometry, it has state. It can be open, closed, locked, partially open, or obstructed. AI must query that state and choose actions. Open it, wait, go around, or pick a different objective. Most modern games use navigation meshes, nav meshes, so AI pathfinds through walkable polygons rather than raw grids. Popular tools like Recast/Detour build and query those meshes, enabling efficient route planning. A classic higher-level approach is FEAR's use of GOAP, Goal-Oriented Action Planning. Bots choose actions like open door, flank, or seek cover, and then use A-star and navmesh to execute those actions. This separates high-level decision-making from low-level movement. Low-level local steering is also vital. Systems like Detour Crowd or Unity's Agent Avoidance let NPCs smoothly dodge other agents or partially block doorways without replanning the entire path. This is how crowd-heavy games and open-world NPCs avoid constant recalculation. Common failure modes include AI repeatedly banging on locked doors, becoming stuck in thresholds, or thrashing when doors toggle rapidly. Mitigations include pre-checks for accessibility, conservative timeouts, local steering fallback, and graceful recovery routines. Day 5. Networking and State Sync. Single-player doors are hard. Multiplayer doors are the nightmare DLC. In multiplayer, all players must see the door in the same state at roughly the same time. But we're juggling lag, packet loss, simultaneous interactions, and the pure chaos of desyncs. Two main networking strategies are relevant: authoritative server and client-side prediction. In an authoritative server model, the server is the source of truth. Clients send open or close requests. The server validates and broadcasts the resulting state. This is consistent but can feel sluggish if latency is high. Client-side prediction lets the local client guess the result, so interactions feel instant, and then the server validates or corrects the state. This is smooth for the acting player, but wrong guesses cause snapback corrections or rubber banding. Different games choose different balance points. Rainbow Six Siege leans heavily on server authority and deterministic validation for hits and environmental changes. It favors competitive fairness over absolute immediacy. Hunt. Showdown uses server authority too, but leans a bit more into client-side prediction to keep interactions feeling immediate in a slower-paced, physics-rich environment. Each choice reflects gameplay priorities and tolerance for occasional desync artifacts. Networking for doors also means tracking animation progress, physics objects, and player interaction locks, so two players don't end up both halfway through the same door. Careful state machines, authoritative reconciliation, and thoughtful replication are the engineering meat here. Day 6. Doors in level design. Let's step back from the tech and get into the creative side again. Level design. For a level designer, doors are much more than barriers. They're decision points. They pace the player, shape tension, and control revelations. Pacing and flow. A door is a perfect pause button. It gives the player a moment to breathe, lets the game stream in the next area, and resets AI spawns behind it. Atmosphere and tone. How a door opens sets the mood. A slow, heavy door suggests dread or ritual. A creaky door suggests unease. A sliding sci-fi hatch suggests momentum. Combined with sound design and lighting, doors become subtle storytellers, framing and signposting the player visually. Gating and story beats. Locked doors are classic story tools. They hold players back until a narrative condition is met, encourage exploration, and build anticipation. Games like Skyrim use keys, quests, and skill gates to enforce progression without resorting to invisible walls. World streaming. Doors often double as loading masks. Classic survival horror titles disguised loading by pairing slow, dramatic door animations with a cut to the next area. Resident Evil is a well-known example. Those creaking doors not only created tension, they cleverly hid room loading and preserved immersion. Player agency. Doors can empower or constrain players. A choice to open a door with a monster moaning on the other side or to sneak away gives players meaningful decisions. Resident Evil 2 Remake is an excellent example. The player decides when to risk the reveal. Finally, a counterexample. When doors don't serve design, they can create imbalance or break immersion. Poorly planned placement, like in Starfield, can make one side of a door feel densely packed while the other is empty, or can interrupt pacing by causing awkward streaming stalls or jarring transitions. So what have we learnt this week? Doors are deceptively simple. They're a tiny feature that reaches into design, animation, physics, AI, networking, level design, and more. If you're a small team, you don't have to solve every edge case at once. Prioritize, decide what doors mean for your game. Are they tactical tools, dramatic devices, or purely cosmetic? Then implement the simplest, most robust solution that supports that intent. Often good enough and consistent beats flashy but flaky. Thanks for following the Door series this week. Next time you open a door in a game, ask yourself, what did the designer, the animator, the AI engineer, and the network team all sacrifice to make this moment feel right? Stay curious, keep iterating, and if a player ever says, just add a door, smile, then send them this video.